So where were most of
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this morning's web seminar. This is Debbie Rocher with the John Burton Foundation. We're going to go ahead and get started. We still have some people trickling in, but we're going to go ahead and start with the web seminar. So again, this is Debbie Rocher, and I'm with the John Burton Foundation, and I'm the project director for California College Pathways. I'm very, very excited today to be able to present to all of you on this call some information about the UC Davis Guardian Professions Program. So we're really excited to be partnering with them on this really exciting new opportunity. And next slide, please. Before we jump into content, just a little bit of technical information. So most of you are probably listening to the presentation through your computer. If for some reason you want to listen through the telephone instead, the number is there on your screen to call in along with the access code. The other point that I want to make is that you have a control panel on your screen that enables you to submit questions. And so everybody on the call is muted, but if you have questions, you can type that question in through the question panel. And after the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for Q&A, and we'll go through the questions that people have submitted. So feel free to submit your questions at any point during the presentation, as well as at the end during the Q&A period. Finally, I wanted to note that the presentation is being recorded, and the presentation materials, the PowerPoint, along with an audio, will be posted on our website, which is listed there on your screen, cacollegepathways.org. Next slide, please. So I'm really excited to have with us today representatives from UC Davis. The primary presenter for today's information is Sylvia Sensiker, who runs the Guardian Professions Program, the topic of today's web seminar. We also will have Valerie Garcia from the Guardian Scholars Program available during the Q&A period to assist with answering questions that might come up. And Arnett Bates hopefully will be joining us later during the Q&A period as well. And I just wanted to also mention her as somebody who is a staff person, the director of the Guardian Scholars Program, and is available along with Sylvia and Valerie to respond to any questions or requests for information that you might have after the web seminar. Next slide. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sylvia.
Thank you, Debbie. We're just going to go over a little bit of background information here. I imagine most of you are familiar with this, but it will set the stage for what we're trying to do with the Guardian Professions Program. So we asked the question, is there an educational dead end for foster youth? Because we know the statistics that are cited are often just very discouraging. About 70% of foster youth express an interest in college, only 50% graduate from high school, 20% enroll in college, and only 2% graduate from college. The next slide, please. But those numbers, we believe, are beginning to change. In 1998, Cal State Fullerton led the way by beginning to affect those numbers with the creation of the first Guardian Scholars Program. And today you can find programs for former foster youth at most campuses of the University of California and California State University system, and at many community colleges, as well as at some private schools as well. Loyola Marymount and Pepperdine have programs. Next slide. So according to our informal survey, there are approximately 1,500 students enrolled at California State Universities and at University of California campuses. And this is based on some research I did this past spring where I contacted directors of the various support programs at colleges and universities throughout the state, just asking them how many students they had in their Guardian Scholars programs. But as we also know that not every student who is a former foster youth self-identifies and it belongs to a Guardian Scholar program. So this is just an estimate of approximately how many students we think are at the state universities and University of California campuses. And then we also know there are support programs at 15 community colleges. And I didn't do any specific research on that, and doesn't seem to be any exact numbers on the figures on the number of students at these institutions, but the estimates are as high as 8,000 to 10,000 students there. Next slide. So the Guardian Scholars Program at UC Davis was founded with 10 students in 2008. And since that time, we've graduated approximately 50 students. A number of these students have gone on to graduate school. The fields they've gone on into are various: law, counseling, public health, hydrology, health administration, and education and teaching. And today in our Guardian Scholars Program, we have over 100 undergraduates. Next slide. So there is a history to this Guardian Professions program that started with the formation of the foundation of the Guardian Teachers program. This happened in 2011 with the help of the Stewart Foundation. We began offering this opportunity to former foster youth who'd finished their undergraduate work. The Guardian Teachers program is a support program for graduate students enrolled in the credential program at the School of Education. And it's usually they earn a credential, a teaching credential, so they can teach in K through 12, as well as a master's degree in education. And the goal is to train former foster youth to be teachers in California's K through 12 educational system, realizing that their own background in foster care would help them to be advocates for other students who are in the educational system currently and are foster youth or foster children. Because we also know for foster children and youth, a teacher is often the person who makes a difference in their lives. Next slide. So this year, in 2013, again with the help of the Stewart Foundation, we're expanding that graduate school opportunity that began with the Guardian Teacher program. And the Guardian Professions program is intended to support former foster youth who want to pursue any advanced degree. We have 94 graduate programs. We have professional law school, medical school. You can also pursue a master's in public health, and there's also, of course, an MBA in our business school. And we're actively seeking students to apply for fall of 2014. Next slide. So what exactly is the UC Davis Guardian Professions program? Next slide. We are in the development stage of the program, and that means that we are doing certain things and also open to adding other components as we learn of student need. What we feel we can offer at this point is education to develop student understanding of why one might want to pursue a graduate degree, recruitment and help during the application process, and then, of course, we will be somewhat similar to the Guardian Scholars Program in offering support during the time a student is enrolled in a graduate degree or professional school program at UC Davis. Next slide. So in terms of educating undergraduates about advanced degree possibilities, there are two things that you really need to do in developing a pipeline of former foster youth who wish to enroll in graduate school. You need to educate youth and those who care about them about the reasons you might want to pursue an advanced degree, why you want to spend 2 to 6 to 8 more years in school pursuing an extra higher learning. And you also need to educate youth and those who care about them about what kinds of specific programs and degrees and what kinds of career trajectories those degrees put you on. If you do this additional study, what are the possibilities for your future career? Next slide. So here are some reasons for pursuing an advanced degree that we found from the Council of Graduate Schools and Association of American Universities, and also the McNair Scholars Program, which is on many of our UC campuses. Pursuing an advanced degree or getting an advanced degree increases one's earning power over time, adds breadth and depth to your academic background, helps you specialize in a particular area or interest, gains critical research techniques and writing skills germane to your career, expands your general knowledge, positions yourself for career advancement and job satisfaction, helps you find a job that you really love, increases job mobility, responsibility, and job security, and puts you in a position where you have more freedom to make your own decisions about what kind of work you want to do. So next slide. We have 94 different graduate programs at UC Davis. These are the different schools or graduate programs you will find those in. We have agriculture and environmental sciences graduate programs, arts and humanities, biological and life sciences. We have the School of Education, which offers education graduate programs. School of Engineering offers graduate programs in engineering. The Health Sciences offers medical school, physician's assistant, master's in nursing, Master's in Public Health, the Physical Sciences and Mathematical graduate programs, and the Social Sciences graduate programs. And we have professional schools. Next slide. Whoops, not too far. You went too far. Back one more. There we go. Nursing school. At the current time offers only a master's in nursing, does not offer a graduate degree in master's. Our Graduate School of Management offers an MBA and I believe executive education. The School of Law offers a law degree as well as an LLM. School of Medicine has the health-related degrees, as I stated before, a medical doctor, also joint degrees with law and public health, I believe, master's in public health. And also we have a School of Veterinary Medicine. Next slide. So in the, as well as helping students learn about what they could do with an advanced degree and what those advanced degrees are, we feel we can help them through recruiting students and through the application process. So we're actively recruiting students who've demonstrated an interest and curiosity about advanced studies. So there are students who have already engaged in sort of pre-professional activities, giving papers at conferences, attending special programs that help them gain research skills, volunteering at law clinics or medical clinics. Those kinds of students we know will do well in graduate school because they've already dedicated themselves to learning more about a professional career. We help students understand the application process. For any kind of advanced degree, there's a number of prerequisites, from tests that they have to take to to writing a good personal essay, to sometimes meeting with professors and coming on campus to understand more about what kind of program they're getting into. So we're trying to help students understand that. We're providing information about graduate admissions tests such as the GRE for graduate study in the humanities and sciences, the LSAT for entry to law school, and the School of Education has the CBEST and CSET, which are basic skills tests needed to earn a teaching credential. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into even applying to grad school. And we're inviting students for campus tours and classroom visits so they can get a better understanding of what grad school might be like. We're advising students on how they need to speak about their research interests and career goals to faculty, both for getting letters of recommendation for graduate school and also if they're coming for a campus visit and they want to talk to a faculty member about what kind of research or program they might want to pursue. We can help them, sort of think through how they might want to present what their background is, both in research and then their background maybe in their overall life goals and like that. And we're ensuring students get help they need to submit successful applications, either setting them up with people that can help them with applications or doing some of that reading of application material and editing ourselves. So next slide. And then when students are on campus, once they're enrolled in a graduate program, what we hope to offer is the same thing we offer our Guardian Scholars: a caring and supportive community, academic advising, personal and life skills training and support, navigation of campus resources, assistance with financial and housing matters, career counseling and post-graduation preparation, mentoring and personal counseling, and leadership opportunities. Although as a graduate student in any one of our graduate programs, a lot of that, of this kind of support is handled by graduate studies. So students would have sort of a double dose of supportive services. Our graduate students are supported very well by our graduate studies programs and by mentors and professors that are working with graduate students. So next slide. So the first Guardian Professions program cohort, we're aiming for a fall for enrollment in fall 2014, which means application this fall 2013. Next slide. So I must say that I've also learned something in doing this in recruiting students, because as someone who has a graduate degree myself, I thought that most graduate schools were on the fall cycle, that they started in the fall and that you applied for a program the prior fall. But I've learned that a number of our programs, such as medical school, the physician's assistance program, there are different, and even the School of Education, there are different application cycles and different beginning cycles to the program. So as a student inquires of in a particular program, I'm finding that information out. But initially, we're developing our potential pool of applicants through the research I did this spring, contacting directors of all the supportive programs at UCs and CSUs throughout the state. We posted on sites like Camilla Network, disseminating information through the John Burton Foundation. And just recently, I heard that the government agency that administers the Chafee grant, I'm not sure which one that is, I think it's a Council of Student Support or something like that, is going to send an email to all the students who receive the Chafee grant, letting them know about the graduate program, the new Guardian Professions program at UC Davis. And what I asked when I send out an email through all our directors of supportive programs throughout California, I asked students to respond to a survey and tell us about their aspirations. It's a basic survey with a section where they can tell about their career goals. And that's the URL if you have any students that are interested in being in touch with us about programs they might want to look into at UC Davis. They can either contact me directly or contact me through the survey, which will provide me a little bit of background information on them as well. Next slide. So when we do have potential applicants, what we're doing is connecting the students with faculty and admissions staff. So I have had a number of responses from the survey to a number of our different programs. And we do have students coming to campus to visit with faculty and take campus tours and sit in on classes. I'm trying to ensure that students get the right information about the different programs they're interested in, what their prerequisites are, what kind of GPA they need to apply, all the kinds of tests they have to take, and what the financial aspects are of getting prepared for applying. Again, we're inviting students for campus visits. We're offering some financial assistance. We have a small amount of grant funds for travel to campus and for some of the pre-tests that needs to be done for application. And we're connecting students to graduate admissions information in the appropriate area of study. So for instance, I have a student coming tomorrow who's interested in computer science, and he will be talking also to the graduate admission officer in the Department of Computer Science, finding out more about exactly what he needs in order to apply in this coming fall for entry into graduate school in 2014. So next slide. So other projects we have in the works, of course, we know that historically, graduate school has maybe not been on the horizon of many former foster youth, oftentimes simply because they aren't given high enough goals by teachers and caregivers in K through 12. So we're creating a curriculum to help students develop an interest in graduate work or continuing on to a professional career. And I'm piloting that curriculum at UC Davis in fall of 2013, basically asking students to go out and seek the information that they need so that they get used to asking the right questions and finding the information on their own, just mentoring them about how to go about seeking a path that they might want to follow. We're also producing some self-guided PowerPoint presentations that feature a particular area of study, so we'll be putting up some more information on our teacher credential program and also the degrees in the health field, and also looking at a notion of helping professions in general. A lot of former foster youth who have responded to our survey want to do social work or law, particularly, I think, because this has been something that professions that they have interacted with at great length because they were part of the foster care system. And so they want to help. And but there's other ways that they can help, and so just helping them to broaden their horizons about other ways they might make a contribution, both to foster children and youth in general, and then to the wider society. We're developing collaborations with other campuses. We've met with UCLA and Cal State East Bay, and welcome anybody to contact us to phone or even come visit, or we can visit as well. We're ensuring campus support programs know about this opportunity for former foster youth. We're also developing an informational brochure and poster about the program, and we're trying to reach out to as many stakeholders we can who care about foster youth and care about their futures. So next slide. That's it. Again, the survey is one way of getting in touch with us and starting an interaction if you're interested in talking to us about the programs that we have and what we're doing here with this Guardian Professions program. Or you can call me directly or email me directly. That's my phone number and also my email there on the slide, which I think will be left up during this question and answer period. So that's all I have right now, and I thank you for your participation in the webinar, and I guess we'll open it up to questions. Debbie.
Great. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for all that great information. So a number of you have already started submitting your questions, which is great. If others have questions that you want to submit, go ahead and do that through that question panel on your control panel. So, Sylvia, the first question that we have is this program offering any financial support to students? And if not, is that possibly an option in the future?
So they mean financial support in terms of getting enrolled in the graduate program, I think. So we have had, with the help of the Stewart Foundation, scholarships available for the teacher credential program, the Guardian Teacher program, which we started 2 years ago, and we've actually graduated one student, and one student is in that, is enrolled in school now, and we've had 2 applicants. And we have a $15,000 scholarship from the Stewart Foundation, and we're also, UC Davis itself is fundraising for that position. As far as other programs, our development people are looking into that. We realize that may be a big obstacle to students wanting to do graduate work, so we are working on that. There's nothing available at this point, but if people aren't familiar with graduate school, if you apply to, say, a humanities program or a social science program, those programs, students are usually, if you get into those, students are usually funded on professors' grants, and they either usually get a position as a teaching assistant, a research associate, or they just get funding themselves. So if you want to do a program like that, the funding comes automatically with going to graduate school. Things like a law school, medical school, master's in public health, those things are usually self-funded and would be funded through loans, and those are the programs that we are looking for scholarship money for.
Great. The next question is, does UC Davis have a School of Social Work?
No, UCLA does. UC Davis does not have a School of Social Work. The closest thing, if someone wanted to do sort of community-based work, would be we have a community development program that would help students do sort of community advocacy. As far as doing actually social work, a student would have to go to one of many of the CSUs have schools, as well as Berkeley and UCLA that I know of.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, are you looking for other recruitment opportunities? And if so, how would somebody just reach out to you to share that information?
Am I looking other ways of recruiting other students? Yes, of course. Yes. I'd be very interested in hearing of other ways to get the word out to students and also alums. I mean, there are a number of people that have contacted me, actually, are students that have finished a year or 2 or even 4 years ago and want to go back to school and get an advanced degree. So yes, I'm happy to hear about other ways of contacting former foster youth who might want to do graduate school.
Great. The next question is somebody who works for a campus support program at another college who tried a couple of years ago to extend support to graduate students, but her administration was not receptive. She's curious to know how you demonstrated the need to your campus administrators and how you will measure success of the program and services.
I was not involved in the initial grant. So I'm not sure how to address the first part of that question. Let me think.
Maybe I
I think you might have been involved in that, Debbie, a little bit.
I was not, but what I'm thinking is perhaps I can follow up directly with the person who asked that question, and maybe you can put her in touch with the folks at UC Davis that were more involved at the beginning stages.
Yes, I think part of it is that we have someone who is both connected to the Stewart Foundation and connected to the School of Education. And so that helped. And because we'd had some success with our School of Education in finding students for that program, then that was a sort of a step in the direction of opening up more graduate programs. And what was the second part of the question? I can't remember. The first was
how you plan to measure success.
Oh, how we plan to measure success. Yes, graduating from graduate school. I think what I'm finding the biggest obstacle, I think, is finding students that are really prepared. So I think that we need to really reach down and develop the pipeline, help students understand why they want to go to why they would want to go to graduate school, spend more years in school, and and then explore other programs for them, because they don't have a context for understanding the wide range of graduate programs and the wide range of careers that are possible with some of our programs.
Great. So the next question is, somebody wants to know about what infrastructure you have in place in terms of staffing, both for the Graduate Professions program and also what you have in place to support the undergraduate program.
I am going to turn it over to Valerie to talk about the undergraduate program, and then I will come back on and talk about I want to know what we have in terms of staff. Debbie, can you just repeat the question for Valerie? That might be the easiest thing. Hold on one second.
Hi, Debbie. This is Valerie.
Hi. So the question is, what infrastructure do you have in place, including staffing, that supports the Guardian Scholars Program for undergraduates?
Well, at this time, the staffing is me, myself, and I, and Arnett Bates, who's been a really great help. But realistically, we really turn to our mentors and have them work with them. I provide them sort of a guide in terms of some of the students and what to look for, what to ask questions, what types of questions to ask, and also some of the resources to utilize. So, for example, when we have our individual appointments with the students, I talk with them starting their freshman year, but more in depth about their sophomore and junior year in terms of what are they looking for and having them explore that. So we have them work with their mentors in terms of some of the things that they need to be doing throughout their undergraduate education, such as speaking to faculty who might be in the field that they're in, maybe doing some research in terms of the programs that they're interested in, as well as to find out some of the qualifications that they might need in order to get into that program, which is actually one of the things that we're trying to do more, because students are really not aware of the requirements to get into graduate schools. A lot of students are just kind of thinking that's just the next step, like they did from high school to getting an undergraduate degree. But the extensive mentoring program provides an opportunity for us to work with them individually and have their mentors work with them on the steps to getting to grad school. So some of our mentors are, helping them with their personal statements. We utilize our on-campus resources through the Student Academic Success Center. We have them attend the college graduate school fair. I also work with the Internship and Career Center as well. So we get them to utilize the resources that's already here on campuses in order to get them to maybe open up a little bit more of their eyes to what to expect. We've also had our mentors who are faculty come in and talk about different programs. Well, actually, not just faculty, but also those that are actually in the field. So we've had a lot of meet and greets. So, for example, we've had psychology and counseling meet and greets where we've had mentors talk about their specific jobs and careers and what the kind of graduate programs that they've gone into. We've had medical school, we've had law school, we've had social workers and teaching, and a lot of different other areas. So we've had a lot of meet and greets with professionals that are in the field and to talk about their experiences working in the field, but also the education, the path that they took. We've also had faculty come in to talk about who work very closely with graduate students to talk about the expectations of faculty, what faculty expect of the graduate students. So our hope really is just to kind of provide them the education they need in order to be prepared for graduate school, to make sure that they're in the right place. The other thing is we also work very, very closely with the research programs. So for example, McNair's, we try to encourage students to participate in the McNair's Scholars Program, as well as Murals. Murals is a mentorships undergraduate for research in letters and sciences. And that is another program that provides additional research experience in order for them to understand, just to even get the idea of what research is. A lot of students are very scared and nervous about getting into research, and because they don't understand it. But this is kind of a good introduction of what research is. If they're not doing it through their department or with faculty, they can do it through these programs, so they can kind of get just get the basic ideas of research and even be able to create their own research and explore topics that they might want to get into when they're in graduate school.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay.
So is Sylvia back on?
Okay, here's Sylvia.
So in terms of the Graduate Professions Program, again, I'm spearheading that effort. Valerie and Arnett are working as well on it. At this point in time, we've just been working on it a few months, so our my main activity has been research to see what students are interested in, research recruiting students, and finding then departments we can collaborate with and talking to graduate studies advisors. I think once a student is in, it's a little different than actually undergraduate. I assume that we will find mentors for our graduate students as well. But as a graduate student, you often have a lot of oversight and a lot of career help just because that's what graduate programs do, and also graduate programs are dependent on placing a lot of their graduates. It's to their benefit to make sure that their graduates are employed. It's part of the way that they build their reputation as a graduate program, is to employ their graduate students. So there's a lot of already support there for career development in graduate programs. Then also our graduate studies program does a lot of support for graduate students, particularly now students that are getting social science and humanities degrees are being offered counseling not counseling, but support services in alternative careers, because traditionally they would go into teaching and there aren't that many teaching jobs open. And then of course the Graduate Professions Program will have me as an administrator overseeing the support program for that program. We don't anticipate, our goal is to recruit 8 students for fall of 2014. We of course hope that we have more, and then we hope to double that within 2 years to about 15 or 16 in 2016. Again, if we find more students, that would be wonderful, but those are our targeted enrollment numbers. So.
Great, thank you for that information. So the next question is whether or not there's any age limit for participation in the program.
Age limit? No, there is no age limit. We cannot discriminate on the basis of age, and we don't.
Okay. The next question is somebody just wanted to clarify about whether or not there are options for doctoral programs as advanced degrees.
Yes. If they want to be specific and ask what field they want to go into. Again, I think in many ways that may be one of the more easily facilitated routes, because if they are a good student and they make a contact with the faculty, then those students who are seeking doctorates are usually supported on faculty grants. And so the hurdle of finding funding for a graduate degree is not so daunting.
Great. So the next question, somebody wanted to just confirm that you indicated that UC Davis has an MBA program, and also wanted to know if the program has a focus on communication and marketing.
I don't know if they have a focus on communication and marketing, but we do have an MBA program, yes.
Right. So the next question is about the definition of foster youth, essentially. So the question is, if somebody is a former foster youth but had been adopted, whether or not they still qualify for the program.
I believe someone who has been a former foster youth but has been adopted qualifies for our Guardian Scholars Program, so I believe they would also qualify for our Guardian Professions Program as well.
Right. The next question is about housing, and if somebody's coming from, say, Southern California, is there support or housing options for students who would need to relocate once they got accepted into the graduate program?
I think I'm going to let Valerie answer this question about housing, because I think she has done some work in this area.
So is it housing for graduate students?
So the question is, if somebody is coming from out of the area, is there support or housing options for students who need to relocate?
Yes, our housing has really great, basically it's housing, living apartments, for 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments that are on campus for graduate school students and those with family. And it's really great. There's a couple of communities around the campus that's basically, it's an extension of campus, and they really provide a lot of the students actually in there really support each other, especially if they're coming with children. And so the housing is I would say is a little bit cheaper than the apartment housing that you might find off campus. And the location, just being on campus, I think is really beneficial. If they choose not to do that, there's also very, very close apartments that are near campus that we can refer our students to. But in terms of just being able to be on campus, we do have campus housing for graduate and family and students with families.
Right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the next question is for Sylvia.
Okay, here's Sylvia.
I just want to add something to that. If you haven't been to Davis, I'm a Los Angeles transplant. Davis is really easy to get around. Everybody rides bicycles. There's a bus that tours the perimeter. So housing here in Davis is a little bit different than, say, trying to find housing in Berkeley or trying to find housing in Los Angeles if you're going to UCLA. It's pretty easy, accessible, because transportation is easy. So even if you have to live a distance from campus, you can usually get to campus fairly easily.
Great, thank you for that. So the next question is, somebody wanted clarification about if somebody is interested in the Graduate School of Education, is there still a separate graduate teachers program, or is this now been rolled into the Graduate Professions Program?
Well, it's sort of been rolled into the Graduate Professions Program, but it still exists as a separate program as well. It's kind of a vague answer, because it's one of our only programs at this point that has scholarships. So there is a Guardian Teachers Scholarship available. Although I think it's being used for this coming fall. We may have one more available, I'm not sure.
So if somebody is interested in the education, they still would go through you for information about it?
Oh, yes, they would always, they would go through us.
Okay.
I mean, they're still applying. Let me make that clear, actually. You're not applying to the Guardian Professions Program. We are a support program. So you're always going to apply to grad studies. If you're going to do a PhD program, you're going to apply to the School of Law. If you're going to do a law degree, you're going to apply to the School of Medicine. We are just a support program. We can help direct you to the right people. We can open doors that maybe you couldn't open on your own, or try to open them for you. And we coordinate with the people. So the 2 applicants that applied to the School of Ed this spring, I was working with them and coordinating when they had a question. Often it went through me instead of directly to the School of Ed person, because I could contact those people more easily and they would answer my emails more easily. So just another sort of pathway through the complicated bureaucracy that is UC Davis.
Great. So the next question is about, you had mentioned that there was a small fund available to help with certain costs, and the question is whether or not that fund would potentially be available to assist with test preparation courses to prepare for things like the GRE.
It is available for test preparation. Basically, the way we've been administering that is it's when students contact us and let us know their plans, and we're sort of assessing whether the seriousness of their intent to apply, whether they want to come for a campus visit, whether they're prepared, and then we're just talking about what they need to do to prepare. And so, yes, there is money available for test preparation.
Great. The next question is, are non-California residents eligible for the program? For example, if a student attended undergraduate outside of California but wanted to pursue a grad program at UC Davis.
And their former foster youth?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, of course. Now, I guess there's the question of whether they were in foster care in California, whether they can establish whether they're going to be counted as a resident or not, because there was some question that came up that way, and I never got it answered because the student who was asking it didn't pursue any farther along wanting the information. But I would have to make some clarifications, because there is a whole, I think one person's job here on campus is devoted to establishing whether someone is a resident or not. So those things are looked at very carefully. So that would be the only, of course, they're eligible to be part of the support program. What that means in terms of the tuition that they might pay, that would be a different question.
The next question is, how would a former foster youth who was applying to graduate school at UC Davis identify themselves during the application process?
Well, currently there is not. We are trying to ensure that Grad Studies there's a general Grad Studies application, and we're looking to put a box that they can check on that application. Otherwise, if they wanted to be included in the Guardian Professions program, they would simply contact us and make the application. So we would be aware of it, and we would be in contact with the program so that they would be aware of it as well.
Great. So the next question is whether there are any other criteria for getting into the Guardian Professions program. So we already talked about age, and we talked about whether somebody was from out of state or not, and we talked about obviously the need for somebody to actually be admitted to graduate school. Are there any other criteria that folks should know about?
None that I can think of at this time.
Great. So there's been a couple of questions about cost, and I'm not sure if you can answer this, but do you have any estimates? Does the graduate school put out any estimates about how much it costs, say, if somebody wants to enroll in the MBA program?
I don't. As I noted, there's 94 graduate programs. Of course, most of those have similar costs. But then there's 5 professional or 6 professional schools. So I have not looked at every program. I've been sort of, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I've been sort of looking at things on an as-needed basis when a student asks me a question. So I would just refer them at this point to the website of the school to see what it would cost to do an MBA. There are actually, though I must say, that I do know, there are numerous ways of doing an MBA through UC Davis. I believe they have an extended program where you can stay in your job and go to classes in the evening and on the weekends. So that would be a different kind of program than enrolling in a 2-year full-time MBA program. So I believe there's a number of different ways in which they accommodate students.
Right. So I had another follow-up question on the question about somebody coming from out of state, and the question is if somebody was in foster care in another state, so they were a dependent in, say, Nevada, but they were part of the foster care system there, are they eligible for this program?
I believe so.
Okay. The next question is whether or not the Guardian Professions program will sponsor activities for participants such as holiday dinners or other kind of community events.
Yes, we're planning on having similar support programs to the Guardian Scholars Program.
Great. So there's a question about application deadlines for applying for fall 2014. I know you said that they vary by
school,
the
yeah.
different schools. Do you have a rough estimate? Is there sort of a general time frame? You mentioned fall of 2013. Is that sort of roughly when a lot of them have their deadlines?
If that person who's asking that question can say what discipline or profession they're interested in, I might know. If you can get that information, then I can get a better sense.
Okay. And then I've had a lot of questions come in, again, about what financial support is available. And so I know you already responded to this question, but maybe it sounds like maybe some folks came on a little late. And so could you reiterate kind of in terms of what may or may not be available in terms of scholarships for folks that participate in the program?
Okay, our development people are looking for funding for the program. They know that this is a big hurdle for people wanting to pursue advanced degrees. That the finance is a huge step to make. Of course, there are student loans available. We also have scholarships available for our teacher credential program at this point. This year, I know there were 2 available. I don't know what there will be next year. I know that the development officer for the School of Ed is working on getting more scholarships available. They provide $15,000, which I believe is the cost of the tuition for the 18-month program. But then, of course, there's the cost of living and other costs, so it's not completely supported by a scholarship. As far as if someone wanted to do an advanced degree in social science, sociology, anthropology, cultural studies, or a science degree, biology, chemistry, if they wanted to do a PhD in one of those topics, those disciplines, then a student that applied would usually and got accepted would usually be funded by a faculty member's grant. And that would mean that they would have to work. They would be a teaching assistant or a research assistant, or sometimes they do get full fellowships. But basically their tuition would be paid, and they would help a faculty member teach a class or help them with research. And then those students are usually helped with funding to finish their dissertations. They are helped to write grants, and other kinds of support is available to help them finish their degrees. As far as law school or medical school, we don't have any funding in place for those. I do know that law school offers loan forgiveness. So if you go to law school and you go into public interest law, actually any loans that you, at least our school, any loans, I learned about this 2 years ago. I think it's still in place. Any loans that you have as an undergraduate are forgiven, as well as any loans you took out to do your law degree are also forgiven after 5 years of public service law. I think the medical school has also some sort of loan forgiveness for going into certain areas to practice medicine, as well as the teacher credential program also has some aspect of some portion of your loans can be forgiven as well. So there are ways to take out loans, but then be helped with the cost that you've incurred by taking out those loans.
So the next question is, have you determined yet what verification you're going to require for somebody to demonstrate that they were a former foster youth?
No, we have not.
Okay, so that's still in process. The next question is, do you have any advice for somebody who got a BA in one field and is interested in transitioning into graduate school in a different field?
Sometimes that's not as difficult as one thinks. It depends on what their degree is in and what they want to do as an advanced degree. So if some programs require specific degrees, specific undergraduate degrees. For instance, the physician's assistant program asks that someone got a degree in a health-related field. Someone who wants to do a law degree, on the other hand, it isn't expected that someone would have an undergraduate pre-law degree. Some schools do offer things like that, but lots of degrees are acceptable for going into law school, as well as I think medical school, the same thing. You do often need prerequisite courses. So for medical school, there's often science courses that you need, but you don't necessarily have to have been pre-med to apply to medical school. Hope that answered that question.
So the person did respond, they're looking to go from theater into speech-language pathology.
A PhD program?
Contact you directly to maybe get some more information about what they're...
Yeah, that would be one that I would have to look into for them, or help direct them to start asking the right questions of who they could ask. I don't think it's that far of a reach. There may be, unless speech-language pathology has lots of prerequisite science courses, then there might be a bit of preparation that would have to happen at first.
Great. So I want to thank everybody who sent in questions. We're getting to the end of our time, and I know that I didn't necessarily answer every single question that folks sent in, but I tried to cover most of them. If you didn't get your question answered, or you have other information that you're interested in getting, Sylvia's information is there on the slide, and so you can certainly reach out to her to get more specific information about your specific circumstance. So I want to just close by thanking Sylvia and Valerie for all of the great information and for putting on this web seminar. And that ends this web seminar for today. Thank you very much.
Hey, Debbie, you still there?